Hello, my name is Yvonne Clemente. I will take you through a presentation that looks at an ethical dilemma which a senior manager, who's going to be myself, has during a merger between two companies, which is Utilco and Bidco. I'll take you through my thought process due to the dilemma. I'll explain a brief introduction on the situation, go into various ways this decision would affect the company, my decision of what would be the best way to go ahead to resolve the issue, and further look at how to avoid the issue from happening in the future and the implications of even coming forward with the issue. So, as mentioned in the first slide, my name is Yvonne. I work for a company known as Utilco, which is preparing for a strategic merger with Bigco. And the significance of this event is aimed at enhancing our market presence and operational capabilities. The merger is not just a business transactions, it's a transformative journey towards becoming a leading force in the utility sector. So a lot is banking on it. Looking at the strategic requirements, Bigco, which is a bigger company that we are merging with as Utilco, plans to upgrade all Utilco branches and before the merger happens. And in doing so, this needs to happen through a software that ensures there is efficiency in data security and service enforcement. And the upgrade is pivotal for streamlining operations, enhancing service deliveries, and ensuring, as I said, ensuring data security, laying a solid foundation for our integral future as two companies becoming one and aligning with Bigco's business process model. So, with this in mind, the issue that came up is in the midst of our preparations, I came to find out that one of the branches had not actually complied by the need to implement the software that had been given to us by Bidco. Um, and the upgrade was not done, and instead, the funds that had been allocated for this purpose had been redirected towards other initiatives that the branch was doing and other projects. The situation complicate becomes complicated due to the fact that the head of the branch claims that the redirection was approved by myself, who is a senior manager, and a point of contention is that there is no recollection on my part of said verbal agreement, and there is no documentation of such an approval. So we'll go ahead and look at other points to consider. So the relevant facts of the situation at hand, as stated, this is a merger between Utilco and Bidco. Utilco we're a much smaller company compared to Bidco. We're looking at enhancing services and operational efficiencies, which will promote to us being a leading entity in the utility sector. Um, some of the challenges included in the merger already without the issue that I had mentioned is aligning corporate culture, systems integration, which touches on the issue at hand, and managing stakeholder expectations. So, as known, a merger always comes with a lot of pressures due to change, as companies usually are. They're very used to how they do things, and so sometimes they can be a bit resistant to change. But this is a good change, and this is a change that is going to um, make both companies much better and bigger in the industry. So, when looking at the software upgrade mandate, it would help, as I said, Utilico to align with Bidco's business model, which strives and aims at being as efficient as possible and will also include enhancing customer service capabilities. It's critical for achieving operational synergy and leveraging technological advancements post merger. So this will save us a lot of time once if it's implemented pre-merger, so that once we merge, it's going to be more streamlined and more, and operations will not be at a hold. So looking at time is one thing to keep in mind here, and it's something that we will discuss further into the presentation. So the non-compliance issue is, as mentioned once again, is a discovery that one of the branches diverted allocated upgrade funds for other initiatives or projects, citing a verbal approval from senior management, which highlights potential issues in communications and authorization protocols within my company, Utilco, and it raises questions about accountability, memory reliability, and the need for transparent and documented decision-making processes. So this also brings about an issue that is very critical and is important for both companies to know about in order to make sure that it is amended and fixed before the merger, because these are some of the things that can slow down the efficiency of production. So next we're going to look at the ethical issues that I face as the senior manager, and this helped me think about what my decision would be, what the next step would be. And some of the ethical issues are honesty and truthfulness, potential harm, trust and integrity, fairness, responsibility. So when looking at honesty and truthfulness, um, like the fact that this was a verbal approval raises questions about the integrity of communication within the organization. This is not how communication should be done. There should be a streamlined, well documented form of communication which leaves no gaps to who said what, who did what, rather than looking within the system and seeing that this was approved, this was not approved. And that can even help in terms of accountability. Um, and with the fact that memory cannot be relied upon here, and not knowing whether this is true, this is false, and not wanting to just throw someone under the bus and being like, yeah, I'm human. Probably I gave a verbal confirmation, but then I did not, I cannot remember. But also looking at the fact that, regardless of that, whenever looking for approval for any business process, you need to have documented approval, which is something that is in every policy. So the potential harm looks at the consequences of each action, which includes one, not telling Bitcoin handling the situation myself, or two, letting Bitcoin know what transpired, and three, potential harm to myself, which may be losing my job. Next, we look at trust and integrity, and we look at the impact of the perceived trust and integrity of Tilco. So, with me keeping this information to myself and trying to fix it myself, how will that harm my company's relationship with our new company, Bitco? So, that's one thing to consider. And then fairness, how employees and branches are treated in resolving the issue. And this looks at the impact on the culture of the company. If we do not take the ethical route, how will this impact the employees? And we'll see more about it in a bit. And then next is responsibility. As as a senior manager, how I handle the situation will directly be a direct reflection of how the company culture is, and will also inspire others, my subordinates, on how to deal with situations. So we first look at the affected parties mentioned in the scenarios and the ones who are not mentioned in the scenarios. So three of the affected parties mentioned are the utility employees and management. Um, how the software upgrade affected their job security, their roles and daily operations, the time spent in implementing this new thing, and the trainings and the time taken to do all that. The next one is a big cause executives and shareholders. Um, so looking at the expectations for a smooth merger and the high pressure to ensure that this merger goes well and without any hiccups, and the potential financial and reputational risks involved with any delays or issues, because you can imagine the amount of money that has been invested in this merger and that has been put together to even implement this new software in each and every branch, and just for that money to be allocated to something else. And next is employees of the non-compliant branch. So when we look at the employees of the non-compliant branch, we can reflect on the reasons for diverting the funds and how that may have affected any corrective actions taken, who gave the go ahead to allocate the funds. Yes, it was said to be quote unquote me, which I'll say allegedly for now, um, and who went ahead to do that without ensuring that proper documentation of approval was not done. So next we look at the affected parties not mentioned in the scenario. So one very big party that was not mentioned in the scenario was the customers of Utilco. So looking at how this delay can cause service disruptions due to changes in the merger, and software upgrades could impact customer satisfaction and loyalty. Um, you might find that this delay might because due to trying to catch up the branch that did not do the software upgrade in order to ensure that all operations are streamlined, because they cannot start operations um, without one branch being up to date with their software upgrade, or else whatever surrounding areas of that branch that branch is in charge of, then they will lack a certain level of service and that other branches are getting. Next, we look at the employees in the other utility projects. So if funds are allocated to address the software issues, other projects might be delayed or cut, affecting those working on them. So when we look at this, we look at how important is this software upgrade. It is of very high importance. So when looking at relocating funds from other projects, we look at like projects that are not of that are not as time sensitive as this one. So a project manager would like have the various projects that are going on within the company, and then look at the project that is not critical, that is not time sensitive, and that probably we can look at the money that can come from the complete merger going back into that company, into that project, which yes will delay that project, but unfortunately it's some of the sacrifices that need to be done in order to ensure that the merger is complete. And lastly, local communities, as stated above. Um, so even the some of the due to it being a utility company, sometimes as we talked about relocation of funds, layoffs can occur as a result of budget cuts, which is unfortunate, and this would impact local economies, community welfare, and public opinion of Utilco, which is something that would be very detrimental to the company, but it is unfortunate as to the situation that has occurred. Going to the next point, we look at my decision, what I will do. So at first, decide to be transparent about what has happened, which would first start with notifying my supervisor and BITCO of the issue, which is important because taking responsibility is the best thing to do in this case. It's not the easiest thing to do because there are definitely going to be repercussions, not just to Bitcoin, not just to, but even to me myself. Um, and being willing to take that responsibility as a leader is very important. Um, and also looking at various issues like the lack of communicating and trying looking at other options, which would be a lack of communicating and trying to fix the issue on my own, which would lead to resource strains due to diverting funds to expedite the software upgrade, which could impact other projects. It would affect employee morale, which would lead to sudden budget cuts or layoffs. Quality of implementation may be bad due to rushing the software implementation before anyone would notice, and also trust issues. So if Bitco would eventually learn of this, they would most definitely have trust issues and probably even erode um, the trust between the two companies. And that's why it is important to consider communicating this to Bitco, because there is information they have, there's various issues that they've dealt with, and they would be the best to be able to go through this issue. So if Bitco is notified and personal responsibility is taken, I will have professional repercussions that I know for sure, which would include job risk, my job being at risk, um, and but also looking at the brighter side, there'd be cultural impact, which is I'd be able to foster a culture of accountability within both companies, which now become one. It would set as a precedent that mistakes lead to severe personal consequences, but discouraging transparency and openness about future issues, because this issue would be dealt with better. Another plus would be the probability of stakeholder confidence, due to them valuing accountability. So we go to the next one. So my proposed action is, as I said, transparency. I would promptly inform Bitco about the issue, ensure full transparency that will include presenting a detailed report of the situation, the steps taken, and a proposed action plan to resolve the issue. So this would be done through investigation and looking for doing my due diligence to amend the issue. And then next is to develop a remedial plan for fast track software implementation and monitoring the process. So this would include going fast track the software implementation at the non-compliant branch, including relocating necessary resources, setting clear timelines, and establishing accountability mechanisms. And lastly, strengthening internal communication and documentation protocol to avoid future issues. So, strengthening internal communication and documentation protocols would implement more robust communication and documentation protocols within Utilico, and ensure that all decisions are well documented and communicated across all levels to avoid a situation like this. And next, we're going to look at the justification of my actions, which include transparency and integrity, which builds trust and open communication, and then proactive problem solving, which demonstrates leadership and commitment to resolving the issues, and avoiding future issues, which enhances governance by preventing similar issues through improved protocol. And lastly, I will go through some of my what formed my course of action. So I'd say my upbringing and personal values have always emphasized the importance of truth and ethical behavior. The notion that the truth will always set you free deeply resonates with me. In difficult situations, I believe in facing challenges head on and dealing with them in an honest and ethical manner, even if it's hard, the harder path. This commitment to doing the right thing, even in the face of potential personal and professional risk, is a guiding principle in my decision making process. So, awareness of my consequences. I'm acutely aware of the domino effects that can result from not addressing issues properly. A mistake or oversight, if not handled with care or and ethical consideration, can lead to a series of unintended and potentially harmful consequences, affecting not just the immediate stakeholders, but also the broader community and societal trust in organizations, especially ours. This awareness informs my approach to take decisive and ethical actions to mitigate risks and ensure responsible resolution of problems. And lastly, looking at my social responsibility. So, beyond personal gain or loss, I am driven by a sense of social responsibility. In a leadership position, the decision I make have potential impacts, not just to the organization and its employees, but also the wider community and society's perception of corporate governance and ethical business practices. This broader societal perspective reinforces my commitment to ethical decision making and responsible leadership. So by and that is what those are the factors that inform my course of action. And by aligning my actions with these principles and considerations, I aim to navigate the challenges of the merger and the software implementation issue in a manner that upholds values of integrity, responsibility, transparency, and ensuring the best possible outcome for all stakeholders involved. Thank you.